Good evening, class.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to this evening class. This is our first session, I believe so. And because it's our first session, I would like to know whom we have. From my end, I can see we have Ivy, Noel, Marion, and John. That's a good number. I believe we can start our class. So today I'll taking you through an interesting topic, and the subject area is events, banqueting and events. I will share my screen so that we can go through this together, and I'll encourage each one of you to participate. So just give me a moment. I share the screen. Kindly one person to notify me if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. So the topic for today is setting up a banquet and events office. This is under our course, which is food and beverage. And maybe I can mention the most important thing when we are looking at this topic. The learning outcomes for this topic is, one, you need to be able to define what banqueting is and what events is. It's also good to know the importance of this office, the banqueting and events office, and we'll also look at the role of banqueting and the events office. Once we are able to cover those two key areas, we'll have accomplished our objectives. Maybe if I could hear from one of you what you think is banqueting. You can either define banqueting or you can define events. Then I'll take you through. Anyone? Can I be heard or I just continue?
Yeah.
Okay, Ivy, you can give it a try. Yes, Ivy.
I can try.
Yes, please.
Maybe we say an activity that has a large formal meal for many people.
That's true. That's true. That's a good trial. Thank you, Ivy. Managing, basically banqueting and events office, or when we're trying to define banqueting and events, you can say it is the managing and coordinating of events. And it can be it can like what Ivy has mentioned, it can be a formal meeting. There's so many things that happens during an event. Sometimes some events have even meals to share, like she has said, and it can be a special occasion, and it definitely has to be within a venue. For any event to take place, there has to be a venue, there has to be some objectives that need to be met, and the most important thing about having a banqueting and events office is to enhance guest experience. Some people who decide to start this career in events management or banqueting and events, the main aim is to generate revenue. Others, their aim is to build a brand or reputation. Some people will hold events just for the purposes of promoting their brand, or even just to have a good guest experience, like that example that Ivy has given us. of an event whereby there is a meal to be shared. So when we're looking at this topic, I would like to point out some few key points. We look at event planning, venue management, catering coordination, logistics, and operations. And this is just to mention a few. Basically, when you're thinking about events management or the banqueting and the events office, the key things to look at is there's the activities that need to be done before the event, and there are those activities that need to be done during the event and after the event. So all those are very key areas that need to be considered. So what are the roles and responsibilities of the banquet and events office? One, you'll find in a banquet and event office, we have an event manager who's the overall coordinator and is in charge of the planning of an event. Then we have a venue coordinator who basically looks at all the logistics of a venue, what needs to be considered. And maybe you can also note this. You can do some further research on factors that you need to consider when selecting a venue for your event. We have a catering manager who coordinates all the catering services. This basically, we are looking at the food and beverage perspective of an event. And then we have the operations team, which ensures a smooth event execution on that particular day. Now, let's say you decide to venture into events management, and or you want to set up an office. What will you be looking at? One, you'll have to look at the location. You have to select your location. It has to be accessible. It has to be spacious. You also have to think about the office structure. What technology do you need? What furniture do you need? Your space. Basically, those are quite a number of things, and also the staffing requirements. How many human resource people, how many personnel do you need in your establishment? Technology integration is very important. It's one of the things that we cannot evade, especially right now. We have social media. We have so many event management softwares which have been created. You can look into that, see what is effective, what will be appropriate for you to use. You could need some reservation systems, communication tools, and social media being one of them. Then, in any event, when you look at any event, many a times there is something you cannot miss out, and that's the marketing and promotion of any event that you plan. So you need to develop a brand identity. You ought to be online. You need to have an online presence. Right now, with the trends that we have, you cannot miss out, or rather you can't miss out to be in the online space. That is social media, whether it's websites, whatever needs to take you, or rather to put you out there for marketing purposes for your event needs to be done. But then again, also you need some marketing strategies. You'll find that basically in this first lesson that we have, I'm just going to just give you an overview of what is expected of you when you want to set up a banqueting and events office. And marketing is one aspect. We also have budgeting and financial planning. That's something that you need to consider before setting up your office. And when you say you need to consider it, so that you know what is expected of you as an events manager or a banqueting manager. So there are those initial investments like the office setup, the technology and infrastructure you need. There is also expenses like what the salaries. Remember in the previous slide, we talked about the things that you need to put in place. We even talked about your staff. So all those are the expenses and your revenues. how are you going to earn money, or how are you going to increase your income? Is it catering? Are you going to charge fees during your events? So that's what needs that's something that you need to put at the back of your mind when you're setting up an office and a banqueting and events office. Then there's a very important aspect also, which is training and development. Now you've set up your office, you've decided the location, you've decided on your staff, you've worked out your budgets, and now you have your resource people. So you now decide you need to do some training. You can do some staff training programs whereby you impart the event management skills to your staff. Then you can also include customer service, which is important. Remember, banqueting, events management is a service. It's a people related space. So customer service is very important in communication. Back and forth, it will be between yourself as a manager and your clients, or it's yourself as the manager communicating with your service providers. At some point there needs to be communication, and it's very important to train your staff on that. And then once you do that initial training, you don't stop there. You have something that can keep them on check throughout. So you have a continuous training for them. You can have regular workshops, or you can do refresher courses once you've done the initial training. Then you can even give them, depending on the different opportunities you give, you can see whether you can give them certificates. So basically, that's just what needs to be considered when we're thinking about setting up events and banqueting office. I'll give you now an opportunity to just ask any question, then I'll give you directions on where you can find your assignment. Anyone with a question? It appears like there's no question. So I would like you to look at your learning management system, which I believe all of you now have your logging in details. Once you go to your, let me see whether I can be able to access it and show you maybe, anyway, once just look at, okay, I've managed to. So what we've gone through is the first topic, which is banqueting and events office. There are notes there for you to read, look at them, and then you will see right there's an assignment that you need to do. You need to look at the legal requirements for operating a banqueting and events office, and there's a deadline for it. So do research work and submit your work in good time. So that's the end of our class. I wish you all the best. See you in our next class.